Why don't we begin? Good morning, everyone. This is the March 17th meeting of the Public Safety Facilities Committee meeting. And I need a roll call of everyone who is here. So could I start with the roll call of the
Glad you
room?
muted yourself.
Go ahead. Roll call. Rich Kinship,
Rich Kinshir present.
Doug McGregor,
Doug McGregor, present.
um, Will Ashton,
Will Ashton present.
Dan Tarpey,
Dan Tarby present.
um, Don Stasko's not going to be here. Glenn Pratt present. And Marissa's not sworn in, so we have a quorum. So why don't we begin the meeting? The first agenda item is that I'd like to discuss and decide and vote on whether we want to ask the selectmen to appoint to our committee the ex officio members who have been working with us for many months. But when they changed us from a working group to a committee, those people didn't get listed. They are Chief Quigley, Sergeant Reardon, Chief Doc Ray, Selectman Paul Grady, Advisory Board member Mark Cameron, and Capital Budget member Kathy Forrest. So, does anybody have any thoughts about whether we should ask the selectmen to reappoint those people to the committee? I think we should, but I'm interested in everybody's opinion on that. Rich?
I mean, I guess we're already this far along. I just think as far as having those ex officio members voting, how does it work if it comes down to a tiebreaker or something like that? Like they've been acting in an advisory capacity so far. I just don't know how them voting would impact the overall vote overall.
Well, as I understand it now, they're not even an advisory capacity because the select board didn't spell it out when they appointed the new committee. So I at least want to get them back on the committee as advisory. And I personally would think that voting should be part of what they do. But let's go around. Dan Tappy, what do you think?
I don't have a problem with it at all, Glenn. I'll certainly go along with it. We too far down the road. I thought that we're gonna vote today as a group and then take our vote to the select board for a final decision on Thursday. So if we wait to get these other folks appointed, which probably should have been done already, it's just gonna delay things further. We can't vote.
No, I'm not saying we need to have them appointed and vote and hold up today's work. I'm just saying going forward for the work the committee is going to do, we should have them officially with us. I'm not concerned about today's vote.
Yeah, then fine. I'll do that.
Okay, Doug McGregor.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't hold things up, like Dan was just saying, I'm all in favor of them being allowed in. Yeah.
Okay, Will.
Yeah, I agree. And this committee survives to do 62 Elm, right? So it makes sense to have them on for that.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I also agree that we should ask the selectmen to reappoint them to the committee. And do we do once they do that, then it's our decision to decide whether they can be voting or not. So what's everyone's thought about whether they should be voting ex officio members? Um, or did I already ask that? We'll start off with Will. I see you right in the middle of my screen. What do you think?
Oh, great. Well, I think at least Mark and Kathy get votes through there and Paul too for
Yeah.
their committees. And the chiefs, I wouldn't think would vote anyway, so I don't think any of them would vote, right?
Okay. Uh,
Advisor. Yeah.
okay, Rich, what's your thought?
I agree with that. I think the people on other boards, they have their means to vote through that. And then the Chiefs, I think it's up to them, but I think in other towns that I've seen, the Chiefs have been in an advisory capacity and have been giving all the information, but I don't know if they've necessarily voted.
Okay, Doug.
Yeah, I actually don't, in terms of the procedure and whatnot, I don't have much experience with it, so I'll go with the consensus on this.
Okay, so then the consensus is we'll get them appointed back to the committee, but we won't have them as voting members. Okay, can I have a motion for that from someone?
So moved.
Second?
Second,
All in favor, roll call. Rich Kinship,
Rich Kincher, aye.
Doug McGregor,
Doug McGregor, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
Dan Tappy,
Dan Tarpey, aye.
Glenn Pratt, aye. Okay, thank you. We'll do that. Let's move on to the presentation that Dan Pilata has put together with the architects on the different options we have in front of us now for 135. Since we last met, some of these select board members, Paul Grady and Alan Mara, met with some of the firefighters and came up with a third scheme for King Street to think about, and that would be to add the fire station wing, but not build it out, not have an interior fit out, just have it as a storage working garage. So as Dan goes through his comparisons in his presentation, you'll see that that's one of the line items and numbers that he talks about. So, Mr. Pilata?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I handed out a spreadsheet of basically the journey we have been on. And the far left column under original project was the original CD 60% CD estimate budget that we went to forward with. We actually got a bid that was 18.9, not 19,780, but 19,780 was the baseline to which the original budget was. You guys had asked me to do A and B at the last meeting, which was what would it be to rebid the original? And I put all the costs together of what it would be to rebid the original, take it all the way through to turning the keys over to the police chief and fire chief. And that comes out to 28,399,294.8. I put together with the estimate from Amy and Paula without the substation, the budget without the substation, just leaving it blank, nothing there. That came out to $24,970,992. And I was asked by Glenn late last week or early this week to put together C, which was essentially to rebid the original but not fit out the fire station. And that came down to 26,782,907. Look, there's a lot of data in here. I mean, we have plenty of estimates here. If you're a naysayer on this project, you'll find something in one of these documents that you can latch on to for $1,000 here or $4,000 there or $5,000 here. But the overall numbers are the overall numbers, and they certainly are a good target for what needs to be appropriated at the town meeting. Now, the town meeting vote would be this total minus the balance of what was in the original appropriation that bought this building. And I don't know what that number is. I'd have to meet with the, it was at one time 6. I don't know what's
I just looked at it.
Oh, it's at 6. So that's where we're at. And Amy and Paula and I are here to answer your questions, and you really need to make the decision on what we're to present Thursday night. We'll present one of these to Thursday night. And I think the selectmen are looking for us to make a recommendation on the best path forward. And we've been studying this now for 18 months, and I don't know how much more we can study. So
Could we, Paul Grady, can you just fill the group in on how we arrived at the idea about putting on the fire side without building it out, and so everybody has a background of why we thought to consider that?
Sure. We're working with both police and fire. We've discussed, the project, and obviously we need a police station. We also need storage, maintenance bays, even during the last storm. We were repairing vehicles outside. And working with fire union, discuss a spot to put the number 3 fire truck, which would be storage up here, not fitting out. But it's nice to have an area to put it. It's nice to have an area to work on the vehicles, get them in, get them out. If, God forbid, we had a storm, we have room for backup. It also opens up Elm Street. The fact that we have storage for the second ambulance, which would be key. You know, if staffing ever grows, we're able to man that ambulance and both. And, you know, I defer to the fire department on operations, but it would give, without having to build out Elm Street, which is a significant cost savings, and working with the fire department to figure out their best line is how best to utilize Elm Street. And it gets that fire truck out and gets it up here, and we don't have to build out a garage or build up building, you know, whatever some of the discussions have been. And you know, it's just a really a utilized space up here. And if down the road, could be 10, could be 15 years, if the town was ready, the fire was ready, and had to expand the team, then we have at least some operating and some wiggle room for that. Whether we fit out the ancillary structure, or we just continue to use it as, you know, ongoing storage. We do need the storage up there. I've heard that spoken on Capitol, that we need storage. We need space for our vehicles, and it's an ideal spot. And it saves money down, say at Elm, or, you know, and also gives us some room for later development, if it ever came to pass. If it doesn't, we still need the room for storage.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions or need any more information from Paul on that idea?
No, Glenn, if I could just add, I think one of the philosophies there was addressing potential harbor resiliency issues that may arise in a storm situation, and being able to utilize the bays up there if needed in an emergency situation.
Mark's right, I left that out. In case of something, God forbid, we did have that 100-year storm, at least we'd have a landing spot.
If we couldn't properly access, you know, Elm Street.
Right. So, if you look at Dan's spreadsheet, all of the options that we see are about, they're within a couple $1 million or $1.5 million of each. So we originally were talking about 26 for a full building last fall when we pulled it. Now to build a building without the fire station, it's 25. And to build a fire station side and don't build it out, it's 27. So, and to build the whole building like we had before is 28. So everything is in a realm of a couple $1 million, which probably in the scheme of things is not a lot of money. What is Michelle there by any chance?
Yeah.
Michelle, how much is $1 million on the average house tax? Do you know that round number?
I'll get back to you with that number, but
Okay. But wasn't it when we did the tax calculator on the whole project last time, didn't it come out to something like the average house would be like $500 or $600 a year on the tax bill?
Well, and I don't want to answer that because I don't have any information in front of me.
Okay.
But I'm happy to get back to everyone after this meeting.
Okay. So I guess the thing is that a couple $1 million additional for this project on everyone's tax bill is not a lot, and that may be part of the pitch we have to sell no matter which way we go. But why don't we just go around, and I'd like to hear what everybody's thoughts are with this initial spreadsheet presentation that Dan just did. So how about starting off with capital budget?
I think it would be a mistake to go to town meeting with a higher number than what was originally publicized. I think it just I think there's a high risk that it won't get approved at the town meeting, and I think asking for even more money is gonna be really difficult.
When which number do you mean when you say originally advertised?
So the original advertised number was the 25.957, or the 17 million was the calculation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So even if we had a couple million on, it would be, you know, people will notice if you go from 17 to 19 or 17 to 20. I think it's gonna be a tough road regardless, and so I think going and saying, we did all this work and guess what? We've added like 2 million onto the project. I don't know. I worry about our credibility.
I mean, that's inflation. I mean, that's
Yeah,
reality.
I understand exactly what it is, but I'm talking about the people at town meeting.
No,
Not me.
I get it. I think the people at town meeting are feeling the same inflation too, on everything. So I happen to think you know, if you tell them that you had the exact same project and it was $2 million more, I think. I think you're right. I think that they'd be like, well, why didn't we vote this last year? But the numbers are kind of the numbers. The actual fit out costs are not too much different by not fitting out the fire station. The savings comes with radios, computers, furniture, and all the stuff that goes into the fire station section. So, and if it doesn't pass this year, it's only, the problem is only going to go up. It never goes down.
Yeah. Mark Cameron. Mark, you out there?
Yep, sorry, just driving, trying to come off mute. I don't have the sheet in front of me, so I can't actually see the numbers, but just in concept here, I think it would be the wrong choice to build what was originally presented, because operationally it didn't work, and we have no intent to staff that if we did actually build it. So I think that originally planned scheme is probably not the most appropriate for the town. I think at this point, I think it would be a very short-sighted decision if we didn't build the addition on the side, and give ourselves a little bit of resiliency and depth in our town resources, whether we got to put plows in there, a school bus, you know, a fire truck, an ambulance, whatever our situation brings. I mean, right now we're really jammed for space. This will allow that middle option there will allow the spare backup fire truck to be housed in an appropriate location. It'll get the ambulance, the backup ambulance, under our roof at Elm Street, so that it can be deployed. And if operational staff changes in the next 5 to 10 years to handle increased call volume, and that we'll be in good position to do that with a staffing component and not have to build additional infrastructure. So that would kind of be my recommendation. And as unfavorable as it is for you know, the number may be, the next option down isn't much cheaper. So I think it would be a very short-sighted decision.
Okay, Chief Quigley.
I agree with Kathy that we should come back. You know, it's going to be difficult to come back with the bigger number, even though there's been inflation and escalation and all the things we talked about. But I also, on the same hand, I'm with Mark. You know, there's none of us that have a garage that's empty in our house. You're always going to use it. There's something to use it for, whether it's DPW or the water department, or, you know, spare fire engine or whatever. Don't build it out. But I am concerned about the price. But the bottom line here is we do not have a functional police station right now. So do we defer the construction of the garage just build a police station or propose a police station? Or do we go in with the higher number? I don't know at this point.
Okay, Chief Dockery?
So this plan solves problems with Elm Street with the Plan C. Because if we need to build a garage or garage spaces at Elm Street, that's additional site work. And that site work's gonna cost even more than today's numbers, because that's 2 to 3 years out. And the other thing too is that the actual site on Elm Street, that's gonna be tough expansion, very, very tough expansion. Building the 2-bay station or the 2-bay annex or garage space will help us tremendously, and the town also. And while we're doing the site work here, why not do this, build that out and save the money in the site work down in Elm Street? I know one of the things we went in front of the select board last time was they were concerned about the cost in Elm Street. Well, if we build the 2 bays here, then what we just have to do in Elm Street is just renovate the interior. We don't have to do any additional site work, and it saves money in the project. So I agree with Mark, we're short-sighting ourselves. So I agree, we need to build up the 2 bays here and do it now while we're gonna do the work.
Thanks, Sergeant Reardon?
I agree. It seems like this is the most, this plan makes the most sense. It wouldn't make any sense to not build it out. We do need the space. So I agree with the others on that.
Okay. Michelle, do you have any thoughts?
I do. So after our meeting last week with the fire department and Chief Dockery, I agree, we should be building out the garage now, because it's gonna save significant money on Elm Street at 44 Elm Street. And I think it's just short-sighted to put this structure up now and not have the garage attached to it. We do need a police station, undeniable, but I think the extra money that it will cost to build the garage bays would be short-sighted if we didn't build it. And I'll get you those figures this afternoon.
When you say build out, you mean just
Build it.
build the shell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
When you say build out, I'm thinking it's fit up.
No,
So
we're-
say shell.
No, we're not thinking about.
Right.
So Dan, is it true that putting the fire site on and not doing the interior build out is about $750,000 more, little less than $1 million more than not building it at all? Is that true?
I'm not following the question.
So if we don't put the fire site on at all, it's $25 million. If we put the fire site on and just don't build it out,
It's $1.8 million.
it's $1.8 million. Yeah, so it's $1.8 million. Okay. All right.
Scare me like
Does that include the FF&E for the fire?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And do these all
And
appropriately?
these are all, and just a reminder, these are estimates. The actual bid could be,
Yeah.
a little lower, a
Right.
little higher, probably a little lower. If we can
And-
get
and
help
the-
quick.
In the original number from last round, there was $750,000 appropriated to a traffic light on 3A.
So I went back to the 60% budget mark. I didn't go to the final numbers. And we had carried $1 million at one point in time out for that. And I took that out on options B and C, B being without a substation, and C being without an actual fire station. Although we'd run a conduit down to where the light would go for the future so that you wouldn't have to dig up your driveway.
Sure. Yeah, conduits. Yeah, I think that's easy, and I think it's just appropriate that we include that in the version that would, for optics that includes a fitting out of a station there. As much as that wouldn't really make sense to do at this point, and then the other is not including that money for that traffic light.
That's on the schedule.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Glenn, can I ask a question?
Okay, before I go to the committee, Paul, anything else you want to add on your thoughts?
Again, Mark, we're all seem to be on the same page, but I think it's very important. We've listened to Chief, both chiefs, that we hear for the members who are serving the community, our firefighters, and what they think of it.
Well, we haven't heard from the whole committee.
I know we haven't, but we've heard from
Okay.
people, non-voting members, so it'd be nice to have, if you guys are.
So I think the fire union, we did have a very good meeting with.
Who's talking there, Paul? I can't see.
Sorry, this is Timothy Collins, West Fire Department.
Tim Collins.
Okay,
Working as the union liaison to this project. No, we're in full support with, Chief Dockery.
Option C.
Option C.
Option C.
okay. Why don't we start with the committee's thoughts? Will Ashton, want to start off? Alphabetical
Yeah.
order, I guess, huh?
Sure, there's two comments. I think it'd be helpful to have the already spent costs on each one of these. So we have a total that people would see, and then, like you said, it gets the tax impact of each one. So we know what'll go to people. And then
Will, I didn't hear what you said. What did you say about costs?
just the total cost, including what was already spent, so that we know the total
Oh, okay.
exclusion and the tax impact and all that stuff.
Yeah,
That'd be helpful to give to people. And it looks like the only difference in A and C, as far as construction, not Epiphany, is 250 grand in the estimate or so. So. And it sounds like we're leaning towards no fit up, but maybe if we get an ad alternate from the GCs, something comes in low, you can actually fit up the space for the same price. It's always cheaper to do it at the same time.
Agreed. Wasn't what I was tasked to do.
I know.
But when we go to design development, that's probably what we would recommend.
Yeah.
Is an ad alternate for that, an ad alternate for solar, an ad alternate for the light, things like that.
Yep. Even if you don't get the equipment, it's built, you did it at the same time before show.
Agreed.
okay, thank you. Doug McGregor?
Yeah, I'm at a construction site, so I apologize if it's loud in the background. My overriding thing is always, like, do what makes sense. And to me, building out the shell, not to do that would be incredibly short-sighted. But in terms of ultimate goal, this being messaging and voter support, my main thing is, I see it as a two-part thing. One is going back with a message that is loud and clear, like, we did hear people, we did cut back, we are being, there have been cuts made. However, it would just, the word short-sighted, it would be absolutely short-sighted to not build this shell while we have the opportunity. So I guess that's some bit of contrition and showing that there was listening about, like, making sure this was minimalized and there wasn't any gilding of the lily on this. And then part two is the tough part. Unfortunately, the reality is inflation has made it more expensive, and people can relate to that. But I just see that not doing this just to try to get it done and doing it incorrectly or doing something inefficient. That's not in my wheelhouse. So, my thinking is, go ahead but deliver the message that way.
All right, thank you. Dan Tappy?
Strongly in favor of option C. This committee was initially charged throughout with building a structure that would serve the needs of the town for the next 40 years. I think option C best does that. It gives us flexibility immediately, resiliency going forward. I hear the comments about the price increase. I think the total increase is within the kind of the framework of a year's worth of inflation. Sitting in the cheap seats at town meeting, back with my Beechwood buddies, I don't think that we are going to have a problem with the increase in price, given all the things that it gives us, and to Chief Dockeray's comments about the savings when we get to Elm Street. Got to be option C.
Okay, Rich Kinship?
I agree with everything that's been said thus far. I think we're all in the consensus that going back with the full build, we wouldn't have done our due diligence in the price increase. I think it is unfortunate that building the shell of the fireside is more expensive than the original total build out of the building, but that's the price that we paid for going down the line and waiting. And I agree with what Doug said as well, that it'd be incredibly short-sighted to not build out that structure where the fire station is, just for saving a couple bucks now. And I think we've done our work here, and whatever we decide on today, we'll put in front of the voters, and it'll be up to them if they want to vote for it or not.
Okay. Yes, and for me, I think C is the only option for us to choose right now. It's forward-looking. We have to do it. Like Doug says, it shows the people that we went back, we looked, and when we took a closer look, it turned out that the structure we needed. Anyway, we're just going to put it together a little differently. So I'd be in favor of a C also. And I think that when Michelle takes a look at what a couple $1 million on the average tax bill is, it's probably going to be a bite-sized number, and it's something we can sell as we make our pitch to town meeting. And if we have that, maybe Kathy, the PR group, could start focusing on that as we go along with our weekly information. So does anybody else have anything we want to say about which option? Did I miss
Yeah, if
anybody?
I could jump in for a second, Glenn.
Yeah.
Not about the option, but the tax calculator.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. In some instances, it's useful, but without any major projects on the docket to date, my taxes went up $1,900 last year. People don't want to see that incremental increase. I think we'd be best served leaving it off for this particular project, given that that happened to a lot of people. So I got tax calculator can be useful for some projects. I'd say perhaps not this one showing delta, but I'll go with whatever the board says.
Michelle, why did people's taxes go up, do you think, with no big projects going on?
Beechwood is now $1 million community, Glenn. We got reassessed.
It's all you new roads.
Valuation of property.
Yeah, they're gonna pay my road, Glenn.
All right, they're gonna pay you, yeah, okay. Maybe, I don't know if there's anything that could help or not, but Paul or Amy, do you have anything to throw in or comment on what you've heard us say?
Excuse me. I mean, I think it's really up to the committee. We're happy to take whatever path that you want to take on this, but
We'll take any bullet you said.
Okay.
Glenn, I have one question for Amy and Paula. I haven't seen the plans yet if we just built the shell side of the fire station, but where would the mechanical go? Would it still all be within that main structure? And then we would just build the shell of the fire, or would we still be using that back upper area on the fire side for mechanical, giving extra office space on the police side?
to be perfectly honest, we heard about this option Friday afternoon. So we haven't had a chance to think about it.
I think that will get done in design development, but I think we'll probably, I would be thinking that we would put mechanical and electrical back, since we have the upper parking lot, we have mechanical electrical back to where it needs to be. So, I mean, we have to build that one wall anyway that supports that platform as part of the structure to hold the building up. So it kind of makes sense to utilize that space, but that will be your decision as we go through design development. You do have that flexibility with option C.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments or thoughts
Motion.
on the different options? Okay, could I have a motion to go with option C for our recommendation to the select board?
I make a motion to go with option C to present to the select board.
Have a second?
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the motion is to make a recommendation that the Board of Selectmen adopt option C. Right? Is that what you're saying? That
Yes,
this
I believe
committee is
that-
recommending the Board of Selectmen accept option C.
Yes, that's the motion.
Okay. I just want to make sure everyone's clear.
Okay.
Clear.
And, okay, okay. We'll take a roll call vote. Will Ashton,
Well, after.
Rich Kinship,
Rich Kincher, aye.
Doug McGregor,
Doug McGregor, aye.
Dan Tarpey,
Dan Tarpey, aye.
Glenn Pratt, aye. Okay, so that's the recommendation we'll make to the select board. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
with the board's permission, Paula and I and you will work on a presentation for the board, I'm assuming.
Right,
A
so,
full presentation showing plans of C, showing costs, maybe get the existing costs as recommended by board member Ashton, just so that that can be put aside, and so that we have all the questions possible that might come up answered in the presentation.
right, so Michelle, how do you see that meeting Thursday going?
Could I just make a comment, Glenn? I think Dan is right. I think that people will be watching the select board meeting, and I think it's recorded. And so I think we owe it to the citizens as well as to the selectmen
To do it right.
to do it right.
Yes, oh, absolutely, correct, yes, absolutely.
And I think by doing it right, I think outlining financially the options so that they can see how we arrived at our decision.
I mean, you do have an outreach committee, and I think you ought to weigh in also, because this is outreach. Going to the selectmen is part of outreach.
Yeah.
Because it will be on TV. So I think what I would suggest is that the OPM and the architect put together a rough slideshow.
Mhm.
And then you guys can do the polishing up necessarily. We can, as a group, figure that out. A subgroup that does outreach.
I have one thing to add on the presentation. If you're putting together apples to apples, if you show the without substation, you should also add more cost onto it because you're gonna have to build more at Elm Street later. So it's not like you're actually saving that much money, not building, you know what I'm saying?
I was not gonna show A and B. I was just gonna show
Okay,
C.
got it.
Because that is the direction that this committee has now gone. So A and B has been, you've determined that A and B is inadequate for the town of Cohasset, and you're recommending to the Board of Selectmen or the Select Board or whatever you call it this week.
I do have a question to pair it up off that. Do we have any sort of cost analysis as to what, and I know we've used all the cross all the i's and dot the t's, but as to a guesstimate as to what Elm Street may have cost if we did, you know, I know we wouldn't design or anything like that, but we were looking at raising the building and again, it's a very broad question.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell me to jump in the
it's,
lake.
yeah,
I don't mind.
I'm telling you to put your swim trunks on. I think that's one of the reasons that we got in trouble last time.
Yeah.
Is because people were doing guesstimates and people were talking out of turn, and you've done a really good job with messaging this time. And I think the town understands this project's issue, and the town understands that Elm Street's coming. And I think that we have to be broad with our description on Elm Street, without saying it's gonna cost $3 million or $5 million or $8 million or save $6 million. You can't quantify that without a full study.
All right, because I didn't want to go there. I'm just saying that what we're trying to do, what the group is doing, is it represents,
Pat, can you check the microphone there? I can't hear anybody.
when we see, it's representing what we feel is significant savings in concentrating.
Yeah, I mean,
That's all.
I think we can say that,
All right, that's all.
but we can't quantify it.
No, I'm not asking.
So I think we can say, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that
Figure it
with the
out.
spare,
That's all.
with the spare space up at 135 King Street, it opens up the ability for us to renovate Elm Street cheaper because we don't have to have a temporary quarters. There's a whole bunch of things that,
Adding additional structure. to Elm
and we're not adding an additional structure for the ambulance that's.
Oh, and I have to be clear about something. It's 44 Elm Street. Hey, guys.
Nice note taken.
Anyway.
So, Michelle has a question.
I have a question about the tax bill.
Mhm.
So do we want to show what it was, or are we forgetting about this completely? Because we have the estimate of what it would have been for the median household with the old cost. Do we want to show a comparison?
Yes. Thank you.
I mean,
And Michelle, on that, we also should show what the delta is because the 10 million is already in people's taxes, right?
No, it's not.
Oh, just the land, or just the two. So we should show the delta of what we've already included in the taxes to where we're going to increase to.
Okay.
I think one of the things that would be helpful is probably a slide from whoever does it, just showing that, you know, merge the male and female locker room. Yeah, whatever the,
Bullet points of.
yeah, the reductions or the value engineering,
Yeah.
whatever you guys call it.
Other than that, what was the other value engineering?
Well,
now?
we lost three or four
So-
offices.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think, I think we're gonna get bogged down if we dig into the weeds on this meeting that we're having with the other two boards. I know they're gonna wanna ask questions and they deserve answers, okay? But the truth of the matter is, we have a warrant that's about to close. We know what direction we're going in, and these questions can be answered during the month of April. And if they make their recommendation late in April, they make it late in April. But if they don't feel like they have enough information, I don't think it's a good idea for the architect of the OPM to try and answer every question on Thursday night.
No, I don't, I should have been more clear. I mean, going forward, I think the people should see that things, the scope was looked at. It's not the same project.
It's not the same project, and I think.
But how?
I think that Kathy has articulated on more than one meeting that if we took the original project alone, all right, so we've tinkered with everything, but if you took the original project alone and just added the inflation factor to that and show that as your number, you're way up here. So anything we do is going to be down here. So just to land that 1 year, the original project's already grown, ballooned up. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do, but I have 38 years experience
Me too.
in this town.
In other towns.
I mean, I kind of wonder, like, if it's better not to get in those weeds and to instead emphasize what maybe Doug was saying is that there's been a group of pretty qualified people kicking the tires of this for the past 4 or 5 months. I think it would be great for the slideshow to have the names of the voting members as well as their credentials, because you guys know an awful lot more about like construction than I do in the majority of the town. I think that will go a long way to making people feel confident that, you know.
And I also think you got to be upfront and honest. I mean,
We can't hear you. Can somebody check the mic?
you can be upfront and honest and just, like I said, when my first sentence here, I can find 10 things in that estimate that are probably, you could say, is left or right. There's probably 7 toilet paper holders, but there's only 6 bathrooms. Those kind of things. So if you're someone that's against the project, you can dig into that weeds. And I think we got into that last time. I think we just have to stay focused on the overall solution to the problems that we have. And I think we'll be okay. And if we get drawn into the weeds, it's going to be in the month of April. We'll just have to answer the questions one by one.
Okay, Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, I agree. We don't want to get too deep into the weeds here with some of that stuff here because we don't have, it's also not full construction CD level drawings that we're working here with. So I think, from maybe a high level narrative, we can have that to some of the economies that we've made. I do think it's important to show the select board and even at town meeting, show the 3 options that we reviewed. I think showing them just the finances of the one we picked, I think that's going to open up the door for the other people that we've historically seen that will throw a monkey wrench in these things, and talk about what other options have been considered. And I think it's important to highlight and show the work that this group has done and arriving at why we're not presenting the option that was on the table before, and why we're not presenting option B, and why we are recommending option C. I think it's important because people are going to, when they see the number and they see it's $1.5 million or whatever it is difference between one and the other, and what that breaks down to per household and family and property, it's negligible. But it's the right decision for the town, and I think that that's important.
Right, that's what we have to sell for sure.
But showing the menu of the options and then, big block around, highlight arrow, this is the one that was picked, right? And then we go into all the reasons why.
Mark, I think I mean, I'm not gonna pretend I know Cohasset like the chief does with his 37 years of experience. But I think that it gets confusing when you have a menu on anything. I do think you are correct that we need to explain that we went through a lot of options. We went through the option of removing the parking in the back. We went through the option of looking at parking in the front. We went through an option of putting a septic field across the street. We've done a whole bunch of options here, not just A, B, and C that we're presenting today. The outfall of all of those decisions has become C. And I think that if you're going to present A and B, it has to be at a really high level. If we looked at this option, it's cost this. We looked at this option, it costs Y.
Yeah, I mean, of course, yeah, of course, they're all at a high level at this point too. But it's a reference point because people are going to drill into why was this decided, why was this picked, and I think it's just going to help speak to why it was, because the numbers are not that drastically different. We're not talking about $5 or $10 million savings.
I think one of the things, the point that I'm trying to make is we can say, we eliminated the traffic light, that saves $1 million, but that was negated by inflation.
Right.
That's my point.
Dan Toppy has his hand up there, Glenn.
Yeah, go ahead,
If I
Dan.
could, just very quickly, and I don't want to preempt Mr. Grady, but I think for the purposes of what we're doing Thursday night, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Once the select board either agrees or disagrees with option C, if they agree, they put their imprimatur on it, and they will want to have some input as to how this is presented at town meeting. For us to discuss it into the weeds here today might be useful in some sense, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just go to the select board, get their imprimatur, and then everything will fall into place after that.
Kathy, Kathy, do you think this is going to be a? Kathy,
That's an MCAS word.
Oh, I'm just telling you.
Kathy, do you think do you think this option C is going to be a tough sell to the capital budget?
I don't know.
No, you
No,
don't.
you got the inside track.
I mean,
Okay.
some people at capital budget still have issues with the site that was selected, so.
Can we have cameras in the building?
All right. So, next question I have is for Michelle or Paul. Paul,
Paul's had his hand up for a while.
go ahead, Paul. I can't see you.
We ready? Then I'm listening to Mark, I'm listening to Dan, the chief. My feeling, and I'm not speaking for the board, is a short overview as to why. I agree to what we negated, but also what I would say is this, is to the town, we emphasize the positives. So we have addressed some capital needs or wants, or people asking, have we looked at every opportunity? We got to answer that question for the 20th time because it keeps coming up. Yes, we did. As I said, the 10.5 million will be addressed again. But where we came up with Plan C, working with our fire union, our chiefs, police union, and going forward, and also emphasize what the cost is if we keep kicking it down the road. Those are the things I think that are going to get this to fly. And you want to try to negate the questions by heading them off at the pass, because Kathy's absolutely right that there'll be questions, but we narrow it down. And the most important thing I'm seeing is the group here, the fire union, chiefs, police union, everybody's working together. We're not all pulling our hair out at the roots, and I don't have enough to worry about anyway, but still, is I think the town, if they see that we're coming at it in lockstep, in united front, that goes a long way towards moving the ball forward. And so far, this vote, to me, has got it down to, you know, at least the 10-yard line. And it's the small stuff that are gonna carry it over.
Right. I think we've done what they asked. Go back and take another look, and now it is what it is. One other question I have, either for you, Paul, or Michelle, what are we doing about an article in this town meeting for Elm Street? Anything?
Great question. So, we do have a placeholder on the warrant for 44 Elm Street. But from what I'm hearing here, is it too soon to be designing something for Elm Street until this is done? We have preliminary designs for Elm Street based on not building, not doing things. Do we work with that for now? And then work on the design later? That's for this committee to decide, but I don't know that we go for money right now for something that's gonna sit on the shelf for 3 years.
Well, my thinking is it might be the right time to go for an authorization for some money, and people knowing it's not going to happen for some time. But the other side of the political discussion is, if you go back in 2 years from now and bring up Elm Street, people are going to say, wait a second, I thought we dealt with public safety a couple of years ago. So is it a timing thing as to when we can bring it up? I think is my question. I like everybody's idea about that.
So sorry, I'm just gonna ask a question in response to your question. So we may be in a place in a couple of years to be able to fit the Elm Street design into the capital budget plan, therefore not needing additional authorization. So I don't know what everyone thought there.
I think it's better to authorize even if we don't use it and use capital budget later, because you can
Okay.
get into schematic, I'm just one now.
I got a question on that. I'm just a quick.
What did you say, Will? I couldn't hear you.
I said, I think it's better to put it up there now, knowing that, so everybody knows we're thinking about it, and even if you don't use whatever it is, debt exclusion or whatever, you can take, take it back later and use capital budget instead.
Right. Rich, what do you think?
I agree. I think we should put something on there, because kind of package it all as one and say, hey, we have this article for funding for design of Elm Street, just to keep it on the radar, and then we'll have that money in our back pocket when it's the time. And then one question I had was for Dan, saying, like, if this project gets approved, the King Street project, like, when would the opportune time be to start doing that design for the Elm Street campus?
Well, I think it's a question of how far you want to go with design. I think you have an argument for Will's thought process to keep it on the radar and get through schematic design in the next year, and then certainly fund the construction documents the year after, and then on the third year you'd be ready to do you should be ready to do some capital improvements in that third year, because this building 24 months. Plus or minus a few months, should be open by then.
Would that give fire, time to offer their input as well as to what they see as?
Yeah, that gives them 2 years of time.
Sit at the table.
Yeah, you'd have 2 years worth of time.
See what best serves.
Doug, what do you think about Elm Street?
Important. I think that, Glenn, I'm going to interrupt. I think that
Actually,
Rich and I
agree with but I'm on board with what Rich just said. No, I think it has to be. Yeah, I think it has to be on there.
Doing that, yeah. Okay, I agree with that too. Dan Tapper, you agree with, what do you think about Elm? Now, do something?
I agree with Will and the rest of the,
How much do we
committee.
need?
It needs to be on it.
Yeah,
here's a question.
50?
What if we just said that we're gonna put this on for the December special town meeting? Because I'm not sure we even know how much we're asking for, and I think even if we put it at special town meeting, it's pretty quickly after the King Street project, and I think will still give us plenty of time to work on it.
I mean, if you want to do schematic, you're not gonna need any more than 150. So that'll get you the nice schematic drawings and buy you a year with people.
If it's 150,000, just bring it to the capital budget and see what.
I'm afraid of those people.
Yeah.
What'd you say about that?
I'm saying if it's 150,000, then bring it to capital budget, don't.
We have some room.
So Dan Pilati, you're saying that,
For schematic only, I'd go with just put in 150,000 in your CIP and let it sail through. And then there'll be discussion all year long, a meeting, 1 month, a meeting a month. You'll peck away at it. You'll meet with the fire department and the fire chief. In the meantime, in between meetings, and you'll have nice productive meetings because you will have done the work in between the meetings.
You're saying for capital one.
Yeah, yeah.
but, okay, Dan Tarpey, do you think about putting it on now or suggesting waiting?
I've changed my mind. I agree with Michelle.
What'd she say? What did Michelle say?
Michelle said
It's a capital
CIP.
request.
I can't hear, I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Capital request, CIP.
It's a capital
budget.
request, Glenn.
All right. Okay, Mark Cameron, you get your hand up?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I normally I would be in favor of putting it in there now and packaging it, knowing the forces here that we're up against in the community. We don't have really the answers of what we're going to be designing to, like what we want in there. I think if we can just further understand from a needs perspective what is needed at Elm Street, I just don't want to detract from the first hurdle here, the prerequisite to get the police department out, because with the police department still in Elm Street, it doesn't matter. It's all a moot point. I think if it's 150 grand, if it's something that capital can take on, let's put it in capital. Let's tell the folks that that's the plan so that we don't add it to this, so that they understand it's been talked about, it's been addressed, and that's how we plan to proceed with it. I just don't want to have this go down the road of we've got so many factors about that people are asking about what design elements of Elm Street are in or out, and having us go down a rabbit hole there. But I do have to jump. Sorry, folks.
Okay. All right. Chief Dockery, do you have any thoughts on that?
Let's just get it done. I don't know. I think the capital, put it in the capital.
request.
The capital request, 150,000, the capital request, straightforward. Again, because it gives us time to work to build it out properly and design it out properly.
And Glenn, it keeps it from falling off the burner, which is really important. That's one thing we don't want is 44 Elm falling off the burner, all right?
We're gonna call it 44, right? So
44,
It is
Yeah.
44 Elm.
62 no longer.
That doesn't exist. That's
Yeah.
described up as the
This till they move up here. All right, I don't want people not coming here when they got an emergency.
Well, so Amy and Paula, does Dan need a reality check on that $150,000 number, or is that something new?
I whispered over to Amy before I said it.
He did.
You could.
All right, Chief Quigley, any thoughts on that?
It's schematic, guys. It's not gonna be a full-blown design. It's gonna
Yeah.
be making sure that everything functions and fits on the site.
Glenn, I think that's reasonable, and it sounds like it's definitely a capital project.
Sonia Reardon?
I agree.
Kathy, I didn't hear what you said about that.
I agree, yeah.
She agrees.
Okay, all right, then we'll discuss that and tell the selectmen about that when we're there Thursday also. Okay, is there any other things that we want to talk about today, we need to talk about, or things we've forgotten, or somebody's just anxious to say?
I do have a question
Paula?
for the presentation to the select board for this option C plan. Are we presenting the previous plan, the original design, without all the build out around it? Is that the intent? So we're just showing that the fire department portion is getting built with the apparatus bay garage, but all of the decon areas, the dorm room, stay room is
Gone.
They're
but
gone.
we're-
Gone.
But that is
Wide open.
the
That is-
police side, everything else there, we're
Same.
showing kind of as is. It's
Correct.
just- okay.
So then the two bay garage area will just be wide open.
Wide open with like an extended elbow
Right.
because all the dorm rooms are gonna just be an empty space.
Right, so down the road, 10, 15 years out, that can be built out.
Down the road in a couple of years, we'll build it out.
Yeah. It's a good
So-
month.
Make it look like a bunker, something.
Well, I'm not getting.
No.
Sure, we're not talking about using the plan, the redesign plan for the police department. And adding
No,
on. Going back
we're
to
using the original design plan
I want to make
without
sure.
the fit up of the garage.
Right. Okay,
That way you don't have to redo the structure, we don't have to pay for all the engineers again, all that stuff is kind of like
So,
modified. It's almost like the original plan without a fit up.
so that was what I understood. I had the same question because that's what I understood from our conversation. But then I heard another conversation over here that made me think that you were hoping to incorporate some of the redesign of the police station. No. So it's the original bid documents, the plan from the original bid documents, just
I
with,
didn't,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
the
it's
original
for
bid
the-
documents
Okay.
minus the fit up for the fire.
Correct.
department.
okay,
Right.
okay,
just wanted to
okay.
confirm.
Which you gave me as one of your options.
Yes, assuming that there were not going to be any other changes from the bid document in this part of the building, yes.
Okay?
Right. And that actually, when you look under the covers, you actually probably get a lot more than just 2 bays in that area when you don't put all the build out offices and dorms and everything in there. So it'd be a great space. So, okay, does anybody have anything else? If not, could I have a motion to adjourn? And remember, we have Thursday night at 7:30, Select Board Capital and Advisory. Motion to adjourn, if anybody?
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, Rich Kinship,
I,
Dan Toppy,
Aye.
Will Ashton,
Aye.
Doug McGregor,
Aye.
Glenn Pratt, aye. Okay, see everybody Thursday.